Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Coming to you from my bedroom today, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys another stereo review. This is going to be kind of a hybrid video featuring a couple different products. I will come back and re-review these products individually, just for the purposes of the YouTube algorithm. But today, let's talk about speakers. So you guys hopefully know by now, if you've watched my content, YouTube's kind of a funny beast. Sometimes you guys will watch my content just based on Invicta watch or Nubea watch, or one of my videos where I'm talking about my opinions in regards to watches, cologne, cars, whatever it may be. A lot of the things that we're into really overlap. So you might discover my channel based on some cologne reviews, and next thing you know, you get recommended a audio review or a speaker review, and it might inspire you to add some of this cool stuff to your collection or to your home, apartment, wherever you may live. And so I've been an audiophile for quite some time. Now I don't mean to, I kind of use that word loosely, because when it comes to audiophile, it kind of almost gives folks the impression that you have some sort of sensitive ears, or that you have the ability to hear quality as opposed to somebody who's not an audiophile. To me, that's just a bunch of hogwash. I think that no matter what you collect over the years, whatever you decide to get involved with, you can learn as you go. But ultimately, when it comes to things that are subjective, there really isn't no best, right? When it comes to whether you like the way a cologne smells, you may find it may be your absolute favorite cologne. You may think it smells great, and another guy may think it smells terrible, right? So audio is kind of the same thing. Over the years, I've been installing stereos in my vehicles. I have stereos, just a little bit of my background, so you guys understand. I'm not coming to you with a speaker review because I've never heard speakers before, right? I have speakers, probably 30 or 40 speakers throughout my house, whether they're smart speakers, whether they're in-wall speakers. This room alone has a lot of audio in it. My living room, even more so. So, just so you guys understand, I like audio, but I almost like it to kind of blend in. So let me just give you guys a little bit of story here. This room actually has a 5.1 Dolby Digital surround system in it. They're in-wall speakers painted to match. I have I don't know if you can see this in the video. Yeah, you can actually. I'm trying to look at the screen while I'm talking to you guys. There's like this kind of, this was a mirror actually, and I bought it with the mirror gone. And so I just put it right over one of these in-wall speakers. It really makes the 5.1 Dolby Digital system blend into the room here. I also have a JBL smart speaker behind you. I also have a Vizio soundbar. All the components are hidden away in the closet. And of course, you probably can't see it, but maybe you can actually see where I'm at here. No, so there's a 55-inch Vizio on the wall as well. Hidden subwoofers behind the bed, kind of underneath. And so, this room has a lot of audio in it. What I like about doing systems like this is that even though there's a lot of audio, it doesn't really appear that you have a bunch of stuff. Now, this is for the gentlemen, too, who are in relationships and married. A lot of times, you may want to add stereo equipment to some of your rooms. I think that audio is, extremely special. I think that everybody can relate to liking music, and I think that bringing audio, it's like an emotional ride, right? Sometimes listen to audio can make you sad, it can make you happy, and there's not a day that goes by I'm not listening to speakers or something in my car, whether it be at work, whatever it is. I absolutely love audio, and I think there's a lot of really great products out there nowadays that no matter what your budget is, you can find just incredible sounding speakers. Now, remember this. A lot of the auto companies out there want you to believe that you have to spend $30,000 on Macintosh amplifiers. Not the case. Remember, when I compare super high-end stuff to affordable stuff, at the end of the day, it is subjective. And so what you think sounds good, you may have sort of the ear that you maybe have listened to extremely expensive tower speakers and extremely expensive Macintosh amps, and there's many of the brands out there. But at the end of the day, even the highest end audio doesn't make affordable audio sound terrible, right? There are going to be those differences, but for the average person, you're really going to have to find somewhere to listen to that kind of stuff, or review listen to those kinds of speakers and equipment with somebody who can actually point out the difference. At the end of the day, speakers always are going to sound different, but they still sound good. So this is why I wanted to do this video, because recently I collaborated with IEMA, and IEMA is an audio company. We're going to talk about them today. I have 3 of their products right here. they kind of opened the floodgates for me to get back into floor standing speakers. I've had some amazing speakers over the years. You know, they take up a lot of room, so it's not something you want to just, at least for me, it's not. I'm not going to add 10 speakers, floor standing speakers to a room and just for the hell of it, right? It's not like the obsession with watches. But I do like having, again, audio in every single room I decide to hang out. And so these IEMA amplifiers, I originally reviewed the hybrid tube amps. And in a nutshell, what they do is they use a couple tubes in a preamp, and then use modern solid state amps. If you're going to buy a tube amp, you're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars. And these affordable companies are kind of duplicating the sound, not 100%, right? And again, it is subjective. What one person may hear as being a big difference, another person may not. These amplifiers, having the opportunity to collaborate with IEMA, has kind of opened the gates to me busting out these other speakers that I bought over the years, and ultimately leading up to me buying another pair for my bedroom. I just never thought I'd buy another pair of speakers, but these hybrid tube amps, again, they really, you know, I don't want to ramble on too much here, but they forced me to bust out my giant $2,000 acoustic research towers I had in storage and find a spot for them. They forced me to pull out the acoustic research edge speakers and find a spot for them. And now they've led me to, after listening to how great these amplifiers sound and how they brought these speakers I've had really to life at an affordable price. Mind you, I did get them compensated. They did send these products for free, but I did buy other brands as well, like Dayton. But I'll tell you, it's really kind of opened up this I don't know, like this fun I've had of audio that I almost like forgot about with good quality floor standing speakers. So let's talk about that now that I've rambled on enough. So what we have here is, this is, again, my bedroom. This is my dresser. I wanted something, again, that's going to, you know, it's one thing to have the 5.1 Dolby Digital system in this room and spaced properly for when you're lying in bed, you know, watching a movie in the sweet spot. But when you listen to audio out of the system, they're spaced so far apart, and you can't really see the other speaker here. But we're probably looking at about, I don't know, maybe, I'm trying to guessing here, maybe 12, 13 feet apart. That distance is perfect for laying in bed watching a movie. But these in-wall speakers are really basic, and they just don't really come alive when it comes to audio. Let's just listen to two-channel audio. So, which brings me to why I wanted a set of floor-standing speakers in my bedroom. There's a lot of times I'm getting ready, and this is, again, it's going to be a long video, but there's times I'm just getting ready or just kind of hanging out in here. I just want audio throughout the house. I want to go from one room to the other. Now, I'm going to do another video kind of showing you how I do multi-room audio, and I use a device called the Google Chromecast. I should have bought a dozen of them back when they were about 30 bucks. Now they're about 80. I have 3 of them. One's coming in the mail, and that's going to be for this system. So let's talk about the system. So right now, I'm just using a Bluetooth setup. So on the top here, this is an IEMA T2. This is just a preamp. And I know I'm throwing a lot of information and talking a lot, but in a nutshell, IEMA makes hybrid tube amps that are combined preamps with the tubes and the solid state amps. In this case, I reached back out to them because they sent me one of their A07 Max amps. And these are very small form factor. You can see they barely take up any room. There's really no reason you can't add 2-channel audio or 2.1 channel audio to really any room of your house. These are great for, you know, an office, again, a bedroom. I didn't want this to be cluttered with any kind of components. I like it to look a certain way. Again, the audio is here, but you don't necessarily, I know you don't really see it. I know you see the speakers, but I kind of look at speakers almost like pieces of furniture, right? Again, you may disagree, but so they sent me one of their A07 amps. These amps are bridgeable, I believe, down to 2 ohms, and they are stereo or mono amps. So I got this idea. It kind of, I saw the new Cerwin Vega LA44s come out. They do have a whole series of new LA series speakers. If you're not familiar with Cerwin Vega, they've been around forever. One of my very first subwoofers, I think my very first subwoofer, was a Cerwin Vega 12-inch passive sub, and I absolutely loved it. There's something about the red ring that they have around the speakers, the foam surround, that, and these probably aren't foam, these are probably like some kind of butane rubber of some sort. But I'll tell you, I just absolutely love the way Vegas look. And for Cerwin Vega is one of the few companies still making what we'd consider old school standard speakers, right? Everything nowadays is this style. Kind of thin, kind of more space saving. So if you are in the market for old school audio, they make some of their traditional 15-inch speaker, tower speaker. I don't even really consider them tower. They were just kind of called like box speakers. They're more traditional, where you had a big driver, a mid-range, and a tweeter. Sometimes you might have two mid-range. Again, it depends on the model. But these came out, and what Cerwin Vega did, and don't quote me on everything here, I didn't research everything with the company, but to my understanding, they moved their home office or their production facility or to LA. So to kind of commemorate that, they come out with their new LA series speakers. Now, again, there's different variations of these depending on your budget. You can get the bookshelf speakers, or you can get their, I think they make a version like these with dual 6.5s. I opted to go with the LA44. Now, these weren't comped, although I did try to reach out to Cerwin Vega. They're a rather large company. They didn't get back to me, but I like these speakers enough that I went ahead and bought them with my own money. Now, let me just give you guys, the reason I was kind of drawn to these was honestly the shape and the look. And I've been wanting a set of white speakers for a while. I can't really tell you why. They don't sound better because they're white, but I just really want a set of white speakers. I just think there's a really nice contrast with the black and the browns in here with white. Originally, these were going to go into my office, but I found room for my acoustic research towers in there, and those are really big speakers. So, and I'll do a video review on those at a later date. So again, I was almost going to get a pair of Rockvilles, and they were only $200 a pair. I opted for the Cerwin Vegas because I saw some of the reviews of the Rockwells, and if you're Rockvilles, for $199 a pair, they're great looking speakers. Not as cool as these, but you really can't go wrong for the price, right? They're probably the most affordable floor standing tower speaker you can get. But when I looked at video reviews, some of the speakers, I don't think they're like screwed in. And I know Cerwin Vega is such an old name that they're going to do a speaker with a certain level of quality. Now I will state though, one of these had the woofer, the top 4-inch sideways. So I had to take it out and twist it. That was a little bit of a disappointment because, this is their brand new line. Nobody's reviewed these on YouTube yet. And so you think you'd send a speaker to a customer making sure everything's correct. But it was an easy fix. I mean, I was just able to take the woofer out and twist it, put it back in. Not a big deal, but really quality control. They should have caught that. So what do you get with the LA44? So the LA44s have four 4-inch woofers and of course a tweeter. It is sort of a soft dome tweeter. I don't know exactly what it's made out of. But again, I'll put the link in the description where you can pick these up and read more about them. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of information about these directly on the Cerwin Vega site. They put the impedance rating at 428 ohms. I've never seen that done before. Normally speakers are either 4 ohm or 8 ohm. There's always a little bit of fluctuation if you test them, but kind of odd they did that. They do have frequency response, and these I think went down to about 20 hertz, which is amazing for a 4-inch woofer. Again, larger woofers play deeper bass better. So I was a little bit skeptical in going with something with a driver this small. Generally, I wouldn't go with 4-inch drivers. I have some acoustic research on-wall speakers that run 3.5s on one of my other systems downstairs, and you definitely lose some of that bottom end in the vocals. You're not going to get bass out of that, right? But you definitely lose out a little bit of that. When I'm just talking, right, everybody's voice is different, you lose a little bit something there. But again, they're flat panel and they're easy to mount on the wall, and they're for a specific purpose. But again, for something like this, I wanted something that's going to sound good and still have that low-end bass. I'll tell you, I'm like a kid on Christmas morning with these. So a couple things that kind of, I'm throwing a lot at you, but a couple things that really made me want these was the design. So they're made of like an MDF, of course, which is what most speakers of quality are made of. It's a very medium density fiber board. It's not particle board. It's denser. So that's kind of a no-brainer when it comes to speakers. In addition, they have this kind of football-shaped enclosure design. So I know you can't see it by the video. I'll throw some pictures up here, but they basically taper towards the back. And so I really like kind of the roundness of the speaker, because a lot of speakers you see are just a standard rectangle. And although those are great, there's nothing wrong with those, I like the fact they did something a little bit different, and they really gave this a really nice rounded curve that tapers to the back. It has two 2-inch ports in the back, and these are bi-amp capable, so you can hook up 2 amplifiers to them. Because I have 2 amplifiers here, 2 A07s, And kind of the story with this is the company sent me one A07. I didn't have a use for it, and seeing these speakers come out, I knew I wanted to get them for my bedroom, and so I asked IEMA, and they were generous enough to do so, send me a second IEMA amp, and then of course a preamp. And so what this preamp does, it gives you the tube preamp. It doesn't produce any kind of power. You feed your signal into this. So it does have Bluetooth, so I can cast my phone directly to it. Once I get the Chromecast, that'll be hooked up to this. But you can hook up a record player, you can hook up a CD player, whatever you want to hook up. And of course, that becomes, again, your preamp with volume. That's how you adjust the volume. And then we have two A07s in bridge mono configuration. Underneath the amp, there's a little switch, and you switch into mono. There is an indicator light in the front showing mono or stereo. The stereo indicator light's on the right, the mono is on the left. When you put these in mono, you're of course going to need two, so you have one per speaker. And you do have 3 volume knobs in this. So this is just something I want IEMA to kind of change in their new models. IEMA definitely listens to what the community is saying about stuff. And a real problem with these is the fact that in order for you to turn these on and off, you have to turn the volume all the way down. So you're attenuating the signal while you're turning them on or off. So in a case like this, if you're going to use a preamp and you're going to use these in mono, you can kind of eyeball where the volume's set, but generally I just leave it max and I control the volume with the preamp. It would have been nice for them to actually have made this where you can set the volume, and usually I think it would be a better idea to have an attenuator kind of like on the IEMA T2 where it actually clicks, whereas this is just a smooth attenuation all the way up to max, right? So it's kind of hard to just position it perfectly. That's why I keep them totally maxed. But even with this particular volume knob, it would be nice if they put a switch on them. So it would be nice to have a power switch on these, so you can set the volume where you want it and then turn them on or off with the switch, and you can kind of set it and forget it. In my case, I have to turn them all the way down, and then when I want to listen to music, I turn them all the way up to turn them on. So I think at a later date, they will change that, because I think that was a blunder on their part. Fantastic idea if you're only using this for in its stereo capacity with just like one amplifier, like a CD player plugged into it, or a Google Chromecast. But in this case, the way that they want you to use these is they really want you to buy 2 and have maximum power. So that's kind of a blunder, but I think on the newer versions, they'll probably come out with something with an on-off switch. As far as the T2 preamp, this is perfect. I have nothing negative to say about it. You have a switch for on-off, and of course Bluetooth or one input. So that'll be the Chromecast. You do have bass, mid-range, and treble, and then your volume knob. Pretty straightforward. Super small form factor. Awesome, right? Now, as far as wattage on the IEMA A07 Maxes, you're getting roughly about 119 watts, 90 to 119 watts on an 8-ohm load. I forget exactly what it is. It would have been nice to be able to bring these suckers into a 2-ohm load, but again, for these purposes, you're going to have to buy a set of speakers that either come 8-ohm or 4-ohm. It would have been nice to have had these come in that difference of impedance. The Rockfills you can buy 4 or 8. With these, I don't really know what these are. So they might be 4-ohm, they might be 8-ohm. Cerwin Vega doesn't actually rate them at a specific impedance. But if I were to put money on it, I would say they're 8-ohm, because most home audio is 8-ohm for the most part across the board. Not sure why they did that. So as far as the speakers, though, these are incredible. You can see they look great, and they do come with the grills. I do keep the grills on the speakers most of the time, and you can just kind of see what they look like. I'm glad that they're white. You can see what they look like there. It's almost like an off-white. Actually, it's more of like a it's more like a gray. I guess it's not white, but when you look at it, kind of not on the speaker, it looks white. I think it's just kind of. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. But either way, it looks fantastic, even in the light. If we were to look at it on the speaker, we'd have to say it's like a light gray. But I think it's really... Let me take it off again. Yeah, I guess it would be considered kind of a light gray. So a lot of times you'll get speaker grills are actually black. Like the Rockfills are black. And I don't know, I think it kind of takes away from like the cleanness of the white look. But, you know, that's just personal preference. I'm just going to put this down here. Either way, they look great, but the cool thing about the Vegas is that they have those red surrounds, and I think these look absolutely killer having 4 4s. Now, you might be saying to yourself, oh, how well can that play bass? These sound fantastic. The bottom end is extremely powerful, and that's kind of what you get from multi-driver systems. I can't really think of any speakers on the market that have this many drivers, and again, more is not necessarily always better, right? You can get, my acoustic research have a single 10, dual 5 1/4s, and a tweeter. They sound fantastic as well, but something about these speakers delivers the lows with authority. And I don't mean like rumbling, banging bass. These speakers aren't designed for that. But when I played Looney's, I got 5 on it the other day. I was actually pretty impressed at the bass coming out of these. Other speakers I have, like some of my bookshelf speakers, if you try to play a bass boosted song, and I'm not saying I listen to music like that at home very often, but because you could damage your speakers if they're not designed for it. Just at a very minimal volume, I was surprised at how much oomph these had. I recently was playing some of the soundtracks from Gladiator, listening to tower speakers in my home. It's interesting when I'm driving, I have the bass banging a lot of times, and I'll listen to some rap music, some house, some hip-hop in the truck, in the car, whatever I'm driving. But when it comes to the house, lately I've been listening to, and I listen to everything, but I've really been listening lately a lot of soundtracks, Lord of the Rings, Interstellar, a lot of Hans Zimmerman, a lot of pipe organ stuff. And it's incredible the authority these speakers deliver when producing those lows. They just sound great. Now, I may add a subwoofer to this. I may build something kind of hidden under the bed, just when I really want to get that real deep rumble. But in all honesty, I don't really think I need it. They just sound incredible. Now, you guys are going to say, why didn't you demo them? And there's really no point in me demoing these speakers, because I'm surprised I have to explain this. You're getting audio through, again, my home, through the mic in the camcorder, which is going to be converted, then it's going to be uploaded, and then you're going to be listening to it through your cell phone speaker, right? Or your whatever speaker you listen to it. And so really, you can't really gauge a set of speakers, no matter whatever you listen to, Bluetooth, anything, through a speaker on your phone. It's just impossible. And I know a lot of guys do demos like that, and I wish I could, but I want this video to be monetized, and I'm not going to just put up a video for no reason whatsoever, right? So, hope that explains that. But you can bi-amp them. The only thing is, when I looked at the information about bi-amping, and bi-amping just means you can hook up 2 amplifiers. So originally, I thought I might hook up 1 amp for the high parts, and then the second connection for the lows. But I couldn't really get information as far as when you bi-amp these are on the. I'd have to take them apart to see, and I'm not going to do that because I'm very happy with them. But generally, when you bi-amp a set of speakers, the sub portion or the bass portion, the woofer, like in my acoustic researches, you're basically sending power just to the 2 10-inch woofers. And then your mid-range and tweeters, your highs, are going to be hooked up to another amp. With these, I thought I read somewhere that when you bi-amp them, you're only bi-amping the tweeter, and then the rest is all on one amplifier, so your bass and mid-range. I'm just not really sure. It would have made more sense to me that these would be, basically if you look at this like a standard, if you didn't have 4/4s, but if you look at these like we think of a standard speaker, you have your mid-range, your tweeter, and that this would be your high section on 1 amp, and then your 3 woofers in each speaker would be your other amp for your lows. I don't think they did it like this, but I'm not really eager to find out. I don't really have to. They sound fantastic the way they're hooked up with dual amplifiers. Overall, they look incredible, they sound incredible, and I encourage you, if you're in the market for some towers, I would definitely give these a go. Maybe you don't like the white. You get them in black, you get them in like a lighter, like a birchwood, the white obviously, and then sort of like a more traditional wood color. I'm going to put the links to all this in the description. I encourage you to pick these up through Amazon. That's going to be the best place to buy for shipping purposes. I did not buy through Amazon these, full disclosure, and I wish I would have because it was just a real shit show getting these delivered. They were like 4 days late. Cerwin Vega did do a good job at getting them shipped immediately, but they used FedEx, and they sent them signature confirmation, where generally Amazon will leave them. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's the price point, but they went to deliver these. They said they were going to be here on a Sunday. I said, oh, I'm not going to be home. Then they changed it, said they're going to be here on a Saturday. I said, great, I'm going to be home. Saturday came and went. They didn't get delivered. Now it's going to be pushed to Sunday. I put in a request to have them redirected. You can FedEx, you can have them, your packages delivered to like a Walgreens or one of their delivery centers so you can pick it up at your leisure. Of course, they said it would be delivered at Sunday. It didn't. They said it was going to be delivered Monday. Monday came and went. I checked with the local Walgreens, and they stated that FedEx never showed up. I went back the next day, talked to another guy. He says, oh, we denied that shipment. So Walgreens, they have their the right to deny shipments based on size. And so I guess 18 pounds a little too heavy for them to lift up. So it got denied, got rerouted 40 miles away, and then luckily I was able to get a hold of FedEx and have them redelivered to a local FedEx. So if you are going to do that, no matter where you buy these, just make sure that they will, one, leave them, and if you're going to have to sign for them that you are home for that. If you do redirect them, do it to a FedEx facility. Make sure that they take oversized, and generally a standard FedEx store will take oversized items. So just kind of keep that in mind. But no matter what color you go with, you will be very happy with these. Now, if you are a bass head like me, and you really want that really low-end theater rumble, you're not going to get it out of these. You're going to get powerful, great bottom end, but again, that is the subjective part about audio. For my purposes, the way that I listen to music in my home, I'm not really looking to listen to it the way I listen to it in my car, right? With that deep banging bass. You get the depth here, you get the authority in that bass. They sound incredible, but if you were going to watch something that's home theater related where you want that explosion to really hit you, you're going to want to add a subwoofer to these. Cerwin Vega makes some amazing subs. I'll put a couple of links in the description as well to some subwoofers I recommend that give you a lot of bang for your buck. Remember, depending on where you're putting these, you know, I have neighbors and I can't, like, I'm not going to have a 15-inch sub in my bedroom. It's just, there's really no point. I'm never going to be able to turn it up loud enough. So depending on how you listen to music and how much bass you want, that's going to be kind of a deciding factor on the size of sub you get. And, you know, and again, a lot of this stuff takes up a lot of room. So if I can help in any way, just let me know. I can give you some ideas. I'm really pretty slick about, again, bringing audio into a house in a very clean way. You can see, again, it doesn't take up a lot of room. We have a lot of power going here. I mean, for this little small setup, we have the great sounding tube preamp. We have, I mean, plenty of power for these woofers. They get louder than you could possibly need. I mean, there's really no, these things get loud enough where there is no reason for me to have any more power or have anything different. They are extremely loud. They sound fantastic. I know I'm repeating myself here, but I want you guys to get the gist of how great these speakers are. Now, again, you can get the dual 6.5-inch version. I think there was one guy who did a review on those on YouTube, but I don't know. There's just something about having the multiple drivers, and these are nice and narrow. You know, the width on these, I think they stated these are 8 inches in width, but if you look at the driver size, that might even have been wrong because the driver's a 4-inch. You know, maybe these are 6 inches in width, maybe 8 inches deep, maybe 9, but they really don't, they have a very small footprint, and they really deliver sound. Again, with authority, it's the best way I can describe it. Now, teaming these up. You can team these up with any home theater amp, but if you are only going to listen to 2-channel audio, there's really no point in getting a big home theater amp, you know, unless you're going to use these in a home theater setting. I know it's kind of common sense, but a lot of people, you know, prior to these amplifiers come out, there wasn't a lot of options for people who wanted a very small setup, and these allow you to do it. I would never, if it wasn't for these IEMA amplifiers, I would never have a beautiful set of tower speakers in my bedroom, just because I wouldn't want to have a giant receiver. Even a 2-channel receiver by many of your well-known brands is going to take up a lot of room, and it becomes kind of the focal point of your room. If you could tuck away into, you know, into your closet, fantastic, but I really like the simplicity of this and the old school vibe you get just by having a basic 2-channel setup. It's incredible. They sound awesome. I encourage you, if you're in the market for adding some audio to a room, again, maybe your wifey is like, yeah, I don't want this, and you know, whatever the case may be, you can see they look fantastic. They don't look out of place, and they look like a nice, classy, clean piece of furniture. Again, that is subjective, but I love them, and I'm super happy with them. This has been one of my best purchases in the last couple of years. I knew as soon as I saw them, I wanted to get them, and I honestly think it was just because all the woofers, all the tower speakers on the market, in order for you to most of them are just going to have either two woofers and a tweeter. Your Clips, your Sonys, you know, again, and I'm not naming every single speaker here. There are different speakers out there, but for mentally, I like the idea of multiple drivers. And price, these were only $500 shipped. Now, I did get a good deal. There was a sale going on. If you're going to get these through Amazon, you're going to be paying a little over $550-ish. They're about $270 per speaker, worth every penny. If you compare these speakers to other brands on the market, you're going to be paying a lot more, and you're not going to be getting this kind of performance. Again, no matter what brand you go with, you're most likely going to get a speaker that sounds good, right? You're not going to get something that sounds terrible. But I can assure you, if you get a basic set of tower speakers comparable in size that don't have the multiple woofers, you're not going to get that depth and authority. You're really going to have a subwoofer. Whereas something like these, you could get a sub if you want. I may add one in there, but I don't need to. And so this is really all you need for a great sounding, amazing quality system. I'm flabbergasted. And I do want to thank IEMA for their generosity in continuing to collaborate with Fat Cat Collections. If you haven't checked out my IEMA tube amp all integrated review, check that out. You don't have to go with the double amps like I have. You can just basically go with one of their IEMA tube amps. They're about 25 watts by 2. That's, for most people, it's going to be plenty of power to drive these suckers. I went a little overkill on it, but it's not necessary. What else? Again, they make several different variations, and if you're not into the tube thing, there are other standard solid state, more digital style amps, but these are incredible, and I'm telling you, you are going to have a smile on your face like I do if you give IEMA a go and give these Cerwin Vegas a go. Again, this is not a sponsored video review of the Vegas, but I like them so much, I was so excited to put up this video and review them. I'm hoping Cerwin Vega sees this. I'm hoping that down the road I can collaborate with Cerwin Vega on some speakers. It's kind of an old name in audio, and most of the videos that I see are guys reviewing the old school, more vintage stuff. It's an incredible company. They've been in business a very long time, and it's one of those few brands I think that really give you a lot of bang for your buck. I kind of consider Cerwin Vega almost like the Invicta of speakers, right? You're just getting speakers that they're going back to the basics in the design. Good quality materials. What do you need? Like I talked about watches, 316 stainless steel. We have MDF. That's really that's the bulk of a speaker right there, is the MDF. Everything else, you can take the shittiest drivers in the world, and if you put them in a good enclosure, they're going to sound better than the best drivers in the world in a shitty enclosure. So these are great. They're high quality. They're made well. And Cerwin Vega knows about the basics, right? They just make speakers of high quality, the right materials, and you know, they're just killer. I can't say enough positive things about them. I know I'm rambling on, but these are fantastic. And if you don't take my word for it, give it a go if you're in the market for some speakers. That's it. Cut. I'm done. Thanks for watching the video. I know that was a long one. If you guys do have any questions, let me know. I'm here to help. As always, have a fantastic day, folks, and take care.